Beautiful shot.
All right, folks, welcome back to the channel and to another Hickory Hacker course vlog. This week we're back at Foxburg Country Club in Foxburg, Pennsylvania for the 25th installment of the National Hickory Championship. This event was started and is run by Pete Georgety and is the premier hickory golf event in the country for pre-1900 Gutty golf. This course is the perfect course for Gutty golf as it dates back to 1887 and is the oldest continuously played golf course in the United States. Here's what's under the arm, sponsored by McIntyre Golf Company. We're using, of course, our pre-1900 Gutty golf sets for this round and the McIntyre Braid or Park balls. I'll talk about those as we go. And here is the yardage for what we're playing today. The very cool thing about this golf course is that the yardages we're playing at are the original tees for the course dating back to 1888 and include stone boxes for sand and water for our sand tees. Here's Bobby Jackson, one of my partners today, and Michael Sloan, my other partner, all kilted up. And here's yours truly. So this event is a 2-day event, 36 holes. Foxburg is a 9-hole course, so we played 18 holes each day. And this round that you're watching right now was the 4th loop. So the very end of the tournament, as you might not be surprised to hear, I was already well out of contention at this point. And that was good because I wanted to bring the camera around. It was a beautiful day and felt like this was a good opportunity to show you how this course plays for Gutty golf. If you follow the channel, you probably have already seen the course vlog of the second annual International Feathery Challenge, which was part of this same weekend here at Foxburg. And the course played very different that day for us, obviously because of the limited flight of the feathery ball, but also because it was a wet day. And this was very different today. Great putt there from Bobby. The course was dry. The balls flew a lot farther, obviously because we're using Gutty balls. And speaking of the balls we're using, this is the reserve division that you're watching here with Michael, Bobby, and I. And we were allowed to use either the McIntyre Park or the McIntyre Braid limited flight ball. I'm using the Braid limited flight, and I think Bobby and Michael were both using the Park. If you were in the open division, which was the division that crowned the actual National Hickory Champion, you had to use the Park. And I think I prefer using the Park in general. Even though I do get a little bit more distance with the Braid limited flight, I like the way the Park feels around the green, and I like the way it putts better.
You're over the green.
I'm over the green?
You are, but not by much. You're just on the back fringe there.
So if you watch the International Feathery Challenge course vlog, you notice that we're playing the same routing. This is different than the actual routing of the golf course. I think it was just a matter of convenience that we played it this way. There wasn't any kind of historical significance to this routing. The holes have changed over the years here at Foxburg, but the layout of each hole is pretty much as it was back in the day. There's actually a very significant renovation project going on here, and Foxburg was just awarded a significant grant toward that restoration. And the restoration intends to bring the course back to what it was in the late 1880s. So very cool development going on there. I'll have some links in the description for you to learn more about that. All right, moving on to number 3. It's called Baseball, 255 yards. You notice that none of the holes play very long here at Foxburg, but there's quite a bit of elevation going into the greens on several holes, and it does make your approaches tricky. Plays with your depth perception a bit, and the rough is fairly thick here as well, so you definitely want to stay in the fairway, even though it looks like you've got plenty of room on the left and right. I certainly found out what it was like to be in the rough, as you'll see here on this hole. Yeah, that's a tough club to hit from the rough. That was the Peter Paxton General Iron, dates back to 1893 or 1894. And yeah, it just doesn't get behind the ball very well. in the rough. So I went to the lofter there and didn't have any better luck with that either.
Finally, some real contact.
Yeah, that was with the general iron. I got lucky there because it wasn't in as thick of a spot of rough. Nice shot from Bobby there.
Wake up,
Yeah, not a good hole for me there. I missed that next shot, so this is actually my 7th now. I didn't want to bother dragging the camera over into the middle of the other fairway while there were other players on the tee. So had a good punch up to the green there and then chipped up. And this is from 8. Yeah, we're just going to forget about this hole as quick as we can. All right, moving on to number 4. It's called Yellow, 272 yards. Not a bad tee shot there with the Replica McEwan Play Club made by Kelly Leonard of Manitoba. This was definitely the best 9-hole loop to show you of how I played in this event. Had a rough going in the beginning of the National Hickory Championship portion of the event because of just trying to get used to the Gutty clubs after playing with the feathery clubs. I was surprised actually because my swing is the same with both clubs, but just the dynamics of the feathery clubs versus the Gutty clubs was enough to throw me off, and also the ball. And yeah, so my first 9 holes, actually probably my first 18 holes of the National Hickory Championship were nothing to write home about. And yeah, this was definitely, like I said, the best I played in the event. That's a pretty good chip right there.
Thank you.
So Michael Sloan is the treasurer of both the Society of Hickory Golfers and the Golf Heritage Society, and has had that role for a while. So it was fun to meet him and play with him, and I enjoyed spending time with him over the weekend. Our number 5 is called Long, 175 yards.
Oh, beautiful. Get up there.
Nice.
Great shot.
Thanks.
So you'll notice in the upper right corner there with the score I'm keeping track of that I'm keeping track of gross score for this round, which if you've watched previous Gutty course vlogs on my channel, you'll remember that I keep track of Stableford points normally. Figured I would keep track of gross for this course vlog simply because that's what we were keeping track of for the tournament. But I also liked the fact that on the scorecard, Pete didn't emphasize the par of each hole. Rather, he just talked about, or just mentions the yardage. And I think that's probably truer to how a player would have approached the game back in the 1890s anyway. They were certainly aware of the concept of par and bogey, and there was a little bit of debate going on as to what was more appropriate to follow. Americans were embracing the concept of par, while in Scotland and the UK they were keeping bogey alive. And I'll talk about the difference between those at a later time. I need to educate myself on the details of that specifically. But I think going forward for my Gutty rounds, I'm going to talk more about that and keep track of that better. Because I think that's more accurate, and I really want to try to show you as close as I can how golf was played in all its different aspects back in the 1890s. So look forward to an improved, or I should say more historically accurate representation of par and bogey and how you'd score back then. And hopefully I'll get better and be able to show you better scores. This hole really gave me fits with the feathery clubs, but I was much better with it with the Gutty clubs. The last 2 shots there were some of my best of the round.
It's pretty good.
And that was a really good out from very thick rough by Michael. That's why I wanted to show you that. My approaches with the Cann Taylor Mashie were pretty good in this round as well. I was getting very comfortable with that from that approach distance.
That's the right line. Get in there. Get in there.
This was a treacherous
Good
pin
run at
placement on this hole. From where I'm at, the ball wants to run by pretty quick.
Come on. Oh.
As you can see right there.
Did you hit it any softer?
No, I should have.
So now I've got an uphill putt. And it felt good to drop that in. All right, number 7, Glory, 267 yards. Here's some of that thick rough again, using the lofter. And just couldn't dig it out. Fortunately, the ball was sitting up a little bit better here, so I could use the Mashie. And that was better contact, even if it was to the right.
Oh, that's a good one. I know it. I thought that was going to be good too.
I haven't talked about the putter I'm using in this round. This is a post-1900 but pre-1904 Tom Stewart. And there is a exception to the pre-1900 rule for golf clubs at the National Hickory Championship that allows pre-1904 Tom Stewart clubs, Willie Park clubs, BGI clubs, a couple other clubs that are right at the turn of the century or after the turn of the century, but still qualify in Pete's definition of as a Gutty club. And it does give me an interesting opportunity, though, on this channel to kind of show you the difference, because there is a difference between the smooth face clubs of the pre-1900 era and post-1900 era, and it has to do with the ball that was being used. So pre-1900, it would have been using the gutta percha primarily, but in 1898, the Haskell ball, which is the first rubber cord ball, came on the scene, and that really changed the equipment and specifically changed the weight of the clubs. That's the biggest thing I've noticed as a difference. Post-1900 smooth face clubs generally are lighter because they didn't need to be as heavy to propel the gutta, or actually I should say to propel the Haskell ball as they needed to be to propel the gutta. So I think going forward in my course vlogs, I'm going to show you both of those differences. And I have 2 sets now that I'll be playing. So I have a different pre-1900 set, and then I have a post-1900 set. And I'm excited to show you those in future course vlogs. I'll just say, though, that McIntyre Golf makes 3 different balls for gutta percha, or for gutty play. And you've got the Park synthetic gutta percha, which is about as closest to a real gutta percha ball as you're going to find. Then you've got the limited flight braid, which is what we're using today, or what I'm using today. And then there's a third ball called the Brown, which is a modern core line cut ball. So the interesting thing about the Brown is that I think it probably represents the difference in flight and distance of the Haskell ball versus the gutta percha. So I'll play my pre-1900 rounds with the Park, but then I'll play my post-1900 rounds and clubs with the Brown, and I think that'll give you a good idea of what the difference would have been for a player at the turn of the century, getting used to the 2 different balls. All right, heading into number 9, Putter's Grief, 143 yards. Severely sloping back to front green here. I'm using the Paxton General Iron off the tee. And getting lucky, too.
Ooh, come back. There you go. Oh, wow. Really good. That's a really good spot. I would have never thought that when you hit that one.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I think I clipped a tree toward the green and got a nice kick right in front.
Should be okay, too.
Nice tee shot from Michael as well.
Nice.
Good shot.
Thanks.
And then let me just say, I think I know how to save the best for last when it comes to highlights. That's right. Hold out on the final hole of the tournament. It felt really good. and I didn't have to deal with this treacherous green. I will say my chip was coming in pretty hot, and if it hadn't hit the stick, it probably would have gone right over the green. So I'll take it however I can get it. And as Bobby and Michael wrap up their rounds, that'll wrap up this course vlog and the 25th Annual National Hickory Championship. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this. And if you want to try gutty golf here at Foxburg, definitely check out Tom Johnson's event each year. I believe it's in August. I'll have links to that in the description. And here are the winners from the NHC of 2022. The champion was Seth Lomason, and the reserve champion, Dr. Bern Bernacki. And of course, if you want to join us at next year's event, check out hickorychampionship.org for more information. All right, that'll do it for this week. Thanks again for watching, folks. We'll be back next week with another video. Until then, take care.